Good evening. The Jays did it. For the second year in a row, they're the #1 ball team in the world. The Jays beat the Phillies 8-6 after Joe Carter hit a home run, leading his team to another series title. Mike will have all the details later in sports.
And still world champions, the Toronto Blue Jays.
Right up the middle, this produces one run, and with it a 3-0 Jay lead early in this contest. In fact, it was 3-0 after the first inning of play. So we go to the fourth. Jim Eisenreich, base hit. Darren Dalton, the man they call Dutch, beats White's throw to the plate, and with it a 3-1 Toronto Blue Jay lead. Now the MVP of the series, Paul Molitor. And why? Simply hits like this. He was a hitting machine. Boy, oh boy. You get the feeling the guy's a class act, don't you, ladies and gentlemen? And a pretty nice guy listening to him talk. Nice to see him do well. 5-1 Jays. Now in the seventh, Lenny Dykstra, the Philadelphia fanatic when it comes to hitting. Man, this guy's a machine, too. 3-run homer here, made it 5-4 for the Jays. Then the man they call Inky gets things going. Pete Incaviglia off of Al Leiter. The ball is caught, but Hollins is in scoring position at third. He will score. That made it 6-5 for the Phils. Now, it would come down with two men on base, Joe Carter against Mitch Williams, the Wild Thing.
Well hit down the left field line. Way back and go! Joe Carter with a 3-run homer. The winners and still world champions, the Toronto Blue Jays. The 2-2. Ripped down the line, fair ball, score two. Dykstra on the move at the warning track. He makes the running catch. Dykstra on the run, still going. And he makes a terrific leaping catch. Fly ball to right, well hit. Carter sprinting back. It's over his head and over the fence. A 3-run homer. Sinking fast in right center and in for a hit. And on the wet turf, it scoots past Eisenreich to the wall. And Molitor has a triple. Left center, Dykstra coming hard. Great catch. Here in the new living room. And it sure sounded like it hurt. Crunch. Base hit through the drawn-in infield. Fernandez. Well hit, base hit. White is in. Carter will score. In the air to center. Devon White racing back at the wall. Can't get it. in right on the run, looking up. It's off the wall. White speeding toward third. He'll come around to score. Molitor into third with a triple. And the Blue Jays lead 1-0. Josie said he wouldn't know till tomorrow. Molitor reducing the likelihood of a Game 7 somewhat with a tremendous blast into the second deck and left. Well hit to right, way back, and that one is way out of here. Second deck home run for Lenny Dykstra. And all of a sudden, it's a one-run game, 5-4. Dykstra waving off Thompson, and they misplay it. And that's a lob down the right field. Well hit down the left field line. Way back and gone. Here comes a run. Joe Carter with a three-run homer. The winners and still world champions, the Toronto Blue Jays.
This has been a special presentation of CTV Sports.
Still kept us in the game long enough that, we'd have a chance to win.
How about this balanced attack? You get to the top of the lineup. Ricky starts it all by walking. You know what he's done in the past. Was it important for the team to get back to the top of the lineup in a ninth?
Well, it was fortunate it worked out like that we got to the top of the lineup.
You've been dodging this for a while now, Stu. And you've got this coming. Now that's never a bad sting.
Once we get to the top of the lineup, it creates a real good situation. And if you want to get it someplace, you got to get it to the top of the lineup. That way, we get to our weapons. But we've been a good ball club, don't get me wrong, from the top to the bottom all year long. But it was real fortunate that we got Ricky up there who, he could draw a walk and it, go from there.
Where were you when they took the lead? Were you in the clubhouse by then?
Yeah, sitting right here in the clubhouse.
What was your feeling at that point?
My feeling was that, they did a good job, first of all, in taking the lead, because it could have ended with just tying the score up at 5-5, but, they went on, they challenged us to take the lead. But I felt all along that we'd come back and win this game.
Stu, there was a lot of questions about this ball club, whether they had the heart, whether they were together enough to win. And in the second half, particularly towards the end of the season, you pitchers took the bull by the horns and kind of led the way. Talk a little bit about how the club came together at the end.
Well, for a ball club to win, you're going to have to pitch. You're going to have to pitch. And, we knew that we had been, under the gun all season long. We didn't pitch very well in the first half of the season. And we knew for our ball club to succeed, we were going to have to pitch better in the second half. Without, letting anything go by. If it wasn't for Pat Henkin, we'd have had a tough time this year. So the kid kept us together the first half of the season, and old veterans like myself, found a way to pull something together and get us through the rest of it.
I'm Paul Runnels with Headline Sports. The Phillies have lived on the edge all year, so why should the final game be any different? Philadelphia rallied to take a 6-5 lead on the Jays when Lenny Dykstra smacked a 3-run blast in the 7th off of Dave Stewart. But, as has been the case in this series, no lead is safe. Bring on Mitch Williams in the 9th, and the Wild Thing lives up to his name again. After walking Ricky Henderson and giving up a single to Paul Molitor, the series MVP, Joe Carter ripped the 3-run shot to left heard throughout Canada, giving Toronto the 8-6 win and their second straight title, 4-2. Last time a World Series was decided on a home run, Bill Mazeroski shot for the Pirates back in 1960.
Welcome to Sports at 11, everybody. Mike Lonsborough all alone on a Saturday night. Hey, you want to get into our pajamas? All you have to do is give us a quick call. You could win sports pajamas from us. 48, what is the number? 235-7750. I almost gave you my mom's phone number in Saskatchewan. Yeah, that would do you a lot of good. Get some of my old ones about size 14, and they got feet in them too. Anyhow, we'll talk baseball. They did for the first time, they did it for the first time since the New York Yankees did it in the 70s. The Toronto Blue Jays have won back-to-back World Series. Yes, they did it with a win over the Philadelphia Phillies today in a city that won't sleep tonight. It was a wild affair in Toronto. Excited fans waiting with anticipation of their second straight World Series. On the mound, the man with the glare, Dave Stewart. KOs Lenny Dykstra, who had the swing and the miss, but would come back and play a very important role in this ball game. First end of the inning for the Jays. Here's what happens. Paul Molitor to right center. This will go off the wall. He'll get a triple. Devo rounds third. He will score. Molitor gets himself a triple, as I said, and the Jays were off to the races.
And the Blue Jays lead 1-0.
Joe Carter, who plays an important part of this game. High fly, left field. Thompson catches the sac fly. Paul Molitor will come in. This made it 2-0 for the Jays.
Molitor can trot in from third, and the Blue Jays lead 2-0.
Next batter we'll see on the old videotape will be Robbie Alomar, who goes right up the middle. The base hit produces another RBI, this in the form of one John Allrood, whose lanky frame comes across to make it a 3-0 Jay lead. We go to the fourth, and the Phils wake up. Jim Eisenreich, the base hit. Darren Dalton, the man they call Dutch, will beat White to the throw to the plate. This made it a 3-1 Jays game. Still in the fourth, Ed Sprague, deep right. Eisenreich comes on. He will make the catch, but Robbie Alomar will come across with another RBI. This made it 4-1 for the Toronto Blue Jays. Hey, the MVP of the series, was there any doubt? How about Paul Molitor of the Jays? Thank you, Terry Mulholland. This is a home run to left field. 5-1 Toronto.
With a tremendous blast into the second.
It looked like the route was on. It looked that way until the seventh inning. Hey, there's the McKenzie brothers. Seventh inning, Lenny Dykstra. A home run to right with two men on.
Way out of here. Second deck home run for
that made it 5-4 for the Jays. So, yes, the Phils are back in this contest. Here's Hollins right up the middle. Duncan will come across. If he scores, we have a tied ball game. He scores without any effort at all. 5-5 now. Then the man they call Inky, Pete Incaviglia, off of Al Leiter. The ball will be caught, but Hollins is at third, and he will come across to make it 6-5 for the Phils.
Comes to the plate to make it 6-5 Phillies.
So we had a situation for Mitch Williams on the mound. He was facing Joe Carter. Bottom of the ninth, two men up. Two men on, pardon me. One man up. Here's the pitch.
Well hit down the left field line. Way back and Joe Carter with a 3-run homer. The winners and still world champions, the Toronto Blue Jays.
Boy, this brings a tear to your eye seeing this guy, Paul Molitor, and Cito Gaston. Cito Gaston says, I want to win it for this guy alone. He's had such a great year. He was the MVP, and the Toronto Blue Jays are still the champs. And they are celebrating big time in Toronto. Here's what thoughts were gathered after tonight's game.
Yeah, I'm on deck. I'm going, man, you know, you hit a 2-run homer, you win the series. But you have to put that in the back of your mind and just try to do, go with percentages. And then Joe hits the home run, and, Mitch got I think it was a slider down and in. And it's just one of those, instantaneous feelings where everything begins to sink in. And you run the gamut of emotions from, elation and being thankful, and find your way to home plate, and then you just join in the mob scene.
Well, I said a couple minutes ago, it feels a lot better this year because it's happening right now. You can't ask for a more exciting finish than that, and a more deserving person hit the home run, Joe Carter.
Not too many people get a chance to live out their boyhood fantasies, but Carter did that. It was an amazing moment, wasn't it?
That's right. As a boy, you think about the last inning of the World Series. In the ninth inning, hit a home run to win it. Joe Carter did it, and like I said, it couldn't happen to a better guy.
And it is a characteristic of the Blue Jay team. You guys just never seem to give up.
Oh, we never give up. With this kind of team, you cannot give up. We have a great team, awesome team, and you know, we did it all again, and that's what it matters.
Out of the blue and out of the past. In 1977, a nation turns its eyes towards the shores of Lake Ontario to watch Major League Baseball in Toronto. There was a chill in the air and snow on the ground. 16 years ago, no one was thinking about World Championships back then. But times have changed. The world was watching in 1992, and in 1993 the question was, could they do it again? In 1977, a nation turned its eyes towards the shores of Lake Ontario. Now it's more than a nation. It's the entire baseball world. The Blue Jays, world champions again. 16 years ago, I was 16 years old, and I thought it would be 100 years before the Toronto Blue Jays won the World Series. Buck Martinez, our man in the trenches, joining us now live from the Skydome. Buck, did you think they'd do it twice in a row?
Well, you know, when you look at the personnel they continued to bring in, you had to think, well, if everything goes right for them, they will do it. And Juan Guzman told us earlier in the clubhouse that, you know, we didn't know how much we were going to hit, but these guys can really hit. And there was some concern in spring training whether or not they would have enough offense to win the championship. But the offense was there all year long for them, and it really overcame what was at times a pretty shaky pitching staff. But when it came down to crunch time and the pennant drive late in September, it was the starters who really carried the ball and drove them right on to the championship. The starting pitching really came around when it had to.
Tell me about the mood in the locker room afterwards. You were telling me just before we came back out of commercial that it was kind of a strange celebration.
Yes, it was. I think there was a little bit of disbelief because of the way the game ended so dramatically. Joe Carter came in right away and was really excited, but the guys kind of just scattered all over the clubhouse, and there was no real central focus. Once they awarded the World Series trophy, everybody kind of went to their own little way, but they were really excited, but it took a while for everything to sink in. It wasn't anything like last year's celebration when the entire team came to the center of the room immediately when they entered the clubhouse.
It's one thing to watch it on television, and that is what the majority of us did, was watch the dramatic home run. What was it like there? Where were you? And just tell me what the moment was like.
Well, you know, naturally we're getting ready to come down into the clubhouse and on the field, so we were standing up the runway watching it on television. And I just turned around to a couple of guys standing around and I said, you know, I don't think Mitch Williams is really throwing too hard right now. And if Carter gets a fastball, he might hit it out. And, you know, you just kind of say that off the cuff, but sure enough, he got a fastball down out over the plate where he really likes it and drove it out of the ballpark. And everybody standing around just could hardly believe it. A dramatic comeback, to be sure. And I don't think anybody, particularly in either clubhouse, of course in the Blue Jays clubhouse, wanted to go to a Game 7 because they recognized just how tough the Phillies could be.
I don't think anybody who knows Paul Molitor couldn't have gotten a little bit of a lump in their throat when they showed a close-up of him near the end of the television broadcast on the field with tears in his eyes.
Well, you know, I think back to the last offseason when I was in Louisville and they announced they had signed Paul Molitor as a free agent. And there were some people that said, well, yeah, he's a fine ball player, but he's not Dave Winfield. Well, with all respect to Dave Winfield, I think everybody that is associated with Toronto Blue Jays baseball now recognizes what a great player Paul Molitor is, but more importantly, what a good person he is. And I think Cito Gaston continues to talk, and he's doing it right now in the clubhouse, how happy he is that guys like Paul Molitor and Darnell Coles could finally enjoy a world championship and look ahead to putting that ring on their finger.
All right, Buck, thank you very much. We'll talk to you a little bit later on.
Okay, Paul.
Buck Martinez has been our man in the trenches throughout the World Series. Buck was very busy in the dressing room as soon as the game ended, as well as on the field. One of the men he talked to, a guy who led the Jays and led the American League in hitting all year, John Olerud.
How does this feel second time around? Does it get any better than that, winning it in the ninth inning?
Oh, man. I don't think so. I don't think so. It can't get any better than that. Boy, I mean, that is just the epitome of what you dream about when you're a little kid, getting up in the bottom of the ninth, hitting a home run to win it. hitting the home run to win the game, and I mean, we couldn't be more excited about it.
You had a great shot in the 8th inning, but did you feel confident knowing that you were going to get to the top of the lineup in the 9th?
Yeah, I think that was a big thing. You know, we knew that we get to the top of the lineup. If they brought in Mitch, got a couple guys. Ricky, he can eyeball it with the best of them, and Devo, he's been hot, and we decided we get to Molly and Joe, and good things would happen. And I don't know if anybody expected this, but it was unbelievable.
John, they talk about this team not being close, not being together, but I think you showed just what this team is made of during this series. And that's cold.
Yeah, no, this was a great group of guys to play with all year long, and you know, if ever the saying was true, that good things happen to good people, it definitely happened to a good group of guys, because this has been a lot of fun to play with, great bunch of guys, and couldn't be more happy.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
John Olerud hitting .235 in the World Series. Certainly not .400, but not bad at all. .235 for John Olerud. Gord Miller still downtown with about 250,000 of his closest friends. Gord, how long is the party going to go on?
Well, Paul, I'll tell you what, I live in this neighborhood, and I'm thinking it might be a few days yet. You know, a really interesting thing happened downtown during the ball game. When the Jays were up 5-1, a lot of people had already come down to enjoy the drama, and then all of a sudden when the Phillies took the lead, tens of thousands of people gathered about a block from here at a stereo store to watch television. They had a big screen, and it seemed like the whole area was holding its breath, and then suddenly when Joe Carter homered, out of nowhere, all these people appeared. Who knows where they came from, but it's been quite a celebration down here. Paul?
As somebody who came up to play in Canada, Pat Tabler can offer a rather interesting perspective on all of this. Pat, of course, an American. You make your home down in Cincinnati, and I wonder, coming up here, did it surprise you at all the way the entire country and not just the city seemed to go wild when the Jays won the World Series? Did you realize it was sort of a national team almost?
I had no idea it was a national. We go to Seattle and everybody comes down from Vancouver. We go to Minnesota and people come down from Canada. It's just incredible. It's not. I was in Cincinnati in 1990 when the Cincinnati Reds won the World Series, and they had their little party downtown, but nothing like what's going on here. It's the whole country.
Let's talk a little bit about the closers. We saw Mitch Williams a few moments ago, devastated for obvious reasons. He dropped the ball twice in the World Series, but man, you're right on the line when you have that job.
Right, you know, that's a tough job. You know, you got to be able to take the glory when you're a winner, but you also got to be a man and take the losses. And it's tough. You know, everybody wants to stay in the limelight, and Mitch Williams has nothing to be ashamed of. He had 40-something saves. He had a great year. You know, that happens. That's part of baseball. That's what the memories, that's where they come from. He has nothing to be ashamed of. I thought he pitched great. It just so happened that the Blue Jays won the game.
Well, the guy who you have to go to, the man who has the job to go to the closer and who has to have confidence in him, the manager, of course. Cito Gaston's confidence in Tom Henke last year and Dwayne Ward this year, unshakable. Gaston talked to Buck Martinez.
Cito, Walter Austin didn't get an awful lot of credit either, but he just won, just like you. And I know you don't demand credit, but you've got to take some of the credit for this thing this time.
Well, thank you, Buck. But you know, I'm just happy for my players, and as long as they respect and give me credit and go out and play hard, that's all I care about. As far as trying to get to me, you give me credit. I'm not going to waste my time with it.
But you had some tough decisions to make in this series. Moving Molitor was not an easy decision.
No, it was not. And of course, I guess that the guy's been so tight on this ball club as for his friends, as Sprague and certainly Olerud, good people here, and they had no problem with it, and that made it easier for me, Buck, that I didn't have a guy on the bench that was upset. You know, last year was Ole, and once again, Ole missed the ball game this year. A guy that led the league in hitting, but these guys all pull for each other, and they're winners, and that's why we're celebrating tonight.
And you can see it on the field. You got 9 guys that want to play every single day.
Every day, and I know I get criticized for playing them every day, but they want to play. Anytime, you know yourself, Buck, anytime a guy want to play, you certainly will not stand in front of him and keep him from playing.
Cito, second year in a row, you win the last game of the season. It's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah, it's great, and I'll tell you what, I'm really happy for everybody here, and especially the players. They're number one, and then I look at Paul Beeston and the organization who have been behind us so much and given us a chance to go out and get some good players and win it. And and for the fans. You guys are great, and just keep supporting us.
Thanks a lot, Cito.
Thank you.
All the man does is win and win. Back-to-back World Series titles for Cito Gaston. The players said they wanted to win it last year for Cito. This year they wanted to do it for Paul Molitor. Tell me about some of the decisions Cito had to make in the series this year. Some tough ones.
Wow. You know, everybody says that Cito Gaston's a push-button manager. Oh, I'm just going to run my 9 guys out there. Hope I get 6 or 7 good innings out of my stars. But he had some tough decisions to make in this World Series. As last year, getting Dave Winfield in there and taking John out of the game. This year, taking Ed Sprague out, has been there all year, taking John Olerud. The pitching decisions just in Game 6 were incredible. He's always said that this is my team. I'm the manager. If I'm going to get fired, I'm going to do it my way. So just stick with me, and he is a winner.
Some tough things to deal with for all managers, be they Cito Gaston or Jim Fregosi. One thing the Phillies had to deal with, a report out of Philadelphia of death threats being made towards Philadelphia Phillies closer Mitch Williams. That may explain why he struggled a little bit. Afterwards, Williams wasn't talking about it, but Dave Hollins was.
Well, you know, the reason we're here is because we played together as a team. We won and lost as a team, and I don't know. You know, the thing that upsets me is, and I'll say it now, I'm glad we're on Philly TV. The few guys, or you know, whoever they were, you know, thought they were being cool or tough. A few death threats they gave Mitch back in Philadelphia. You know, I don't know if they think they're helping us or what, but they hurt us. You know, the guy didn't sleep a whole night. He missed a workout yesterday. And he slept 20-some hours, you know, 22 hours making up for yesterday. And I don't think he was feeling right today. And those guys think they're helping by maybe they're drunk or having fun or think they're, you know, going to do something to make a difference. But it's a game, you know. We won and lost as a team. The guy had 43 saves, and, you know, you got to hear stuff like that before you go to the World Series game in Toronto.
This guy really went through a hell we don't even know about?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame because all the fans were so great in Philadelphia, and the turnout and you know, the way they backed us in the games at home was unbelievable. And you get a few punks or a few bad eggs, and you know, I wish they would have been men enough to come to the stadium and tell Mitch or come and tell us face to face who they had a problem with it. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way because I saw how it affected Mitch. You know, he didn't sleep the whole night. He had police around his house, and you know, that kind of stuff. You don't know about it. You don't think it happens in a game in baseball, and then you get in the World Series and see it happen, and you know, it's just not right. You know? But what are you going to do? You can't judge a whole.
I guess the downside of being in the public light, it can sometimes get a little intense. Anything like that ever happened during your career to teammates of yours, crazy dealings with fans like that?
No, nothing like that. You know, this game is tough enough, and then to deal with something like that's crazy. I mean, this is just a game. You know, that he shouldn't have to deal with that in his office, his job. And anyone who's never stood on that mound in a situation like that has no idea what it feels like. And to make it worse, to have something like that happen, you know, my heart goes out to Mitch Williams.
Yeah, Mitch Williams looked at times as though he had the weight of the world on his shoulders, and that perhaps goes a little ways toward explaining why he struggled in the World Series. Not a great story. Toronto Blue Jays World Series champions and the fans out celebrating. We'll have lots more as Baseball Tonight continues on TSN.
Little looper, long run for Dykstra in right center, can't get it. Porter's around with a tying run. Henderson to the plate with the go-ahead run. 15-14 Toronto.
Hey, only about 4 months till spring training. Just thought I'd let you know. Toronto Blue Jays World Series champions for the second year in a row. That was a dramatic hit by Devon White. Joe Carter had the very dramatic home run for the Toronto Blue Jays to end the game tonight. We'll hear from Joe Carter a little bit later on, but for now, we're going to hear some post-game thoughts from Devon White. White hitting .292 in the series, .444 in the ALCS.
I don't know how anybody can stand that.
Talk about a finish. that was a hell of a finish. I mean, we got to give it to the Phillies. Denny Dykstra, he showed me something. And he's a hell of a ball player. And, you know,
Joe hit that ball, I was just jumping and yelling, what a finish. I knew that ball was out of here.
How can you talk about this series? Both clubs showed what kind of heart they have.
Well, it's not only a heart, just the ability, all-around play. It was a great series. I think, it was even more excited than last year.
What's it mean to win it at home in front of your fans?
Oh, it means a lot. And it means a lot to the Canadians because last year we went in Atlanta. Now we're here to celebrate. And hopefully that parade even be sweeter tomorrow.
Go celebrate, Devo.
Thank you.
Nice.
Sinking fast in right center and in for a hit. And on the wet turf, it scoots past Eisenreich to the wall. Henderson is in. Devon White is in. And Molitor has a triple.
World Series MVP, Paul Molitor. He'd been to the World Series once before with the Milwaukee Brewers. They lost in 7 games to the St. Louis Cardinals. He made it back to the big show in 1993, and he did it in big fashion, winning a World Series. He was also named MVP. He's with Buck Martinez.
Paul Molitor, you've had a lot of highs. Does it get any better than this?
Buck, this is, I talked about this week what your #1 moment in baseball is, and the '82 World Series was #1. And those guys on that team know how much I love that plan for them and how close we came. But when you finally get a chance to win, this will definitely stick out as my #1 highlight.
Speaking of sticking out, you were the MVP with a whole bunch of real good ball players in the series. What's that mean to you?
Well, when you come into a series and it's been so long, you don't really think about, man, if I can just do well, maybe I'll win that sucker. It's how can we find a way to win this series? And as you mentioned, Robbie, Devo, Joe's series clinching home run. On their side, Dykstra. I mean, a lot of guys had great series. It was an offensive series. But, to be recognized, naturally, it's a great honor. And I don't think anybody here is selfish in what they're trying to accomplish individually. But, I'm definitely appreciative that they would honor me in that way.
Paul, you hadn't had a lot of success against Mitch Williams in the past, but you came up with a key hit to set the table for Joe Carter.
Well, Mitch, when I faced him in Texas, I know that he was always intimidating. And I had a chance to watch him in a couple games in the series. I saw some tape against Atlanta, and I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten a little better hitter too. So I a little more.
I'll agree with that.
Got had a little more confidence, and the biggest thing was trying to fight off the natural tendency of trying to hit a 2-run homer, because that would win a series, but that's not your game. You got to try to find a way to keep the line moving, give Joe a chance. Sure enough, they looked like a lot of holes. Hollins was hovering the line, and Kruk was holding on Ricky over there. Sure enough, I found a hole out there and kept the line moving.
When you made a decision to come to Toronto, you thought about this moment right now, didn't you?
Yeah, naturally you think of the best case scenario, Buck, and that included a world championship, defending a title, something that hadn't been done in a long time. So for that to come into fruition in my first year over here, it just kind of reaffirms not only what I hoped could happen, but what Pat Gillick and Paul Beesman told me would happen last December. So I appreciate it from those men also.
And everybody's thrilled tonight. Congratulations,
Okay,
Paul.
Buck. Thanks a lot.
Paul Molitor, World Series MVP, and one of the defining moments of the series unquestionably was game #3. There was some controversy. John Olerud's bat coming out of the lineup. Paul Molitor's going in. He had to go in and play first base, and Pat, he erased that controversy almost immediately. He had a home run, he had a triple, he had an amazing game.
You don't hear too much about that anymore. That Molitor came in and Olerud went out. He just did an outstanding job. This guy's been playing for 16 or 17 years. In the last few years, he's been kind of lost in Milwaukee. They've been kind of down, and all of a sudden he gets on a national team that's on TV a lot, and all of a sudden friends of mine are coming and say, hey, this Molitor guy, he's pretty good. And I go, he is good. I've been watching him for the last 10 years, and he's an outstanding ball player, and I'm so happy for him because he started getting in the class of like the Rod Carew and the Ernie Banks and the Carly Strempsys, guys who've been there, but they haven't won the big one, and I'm just so happy for him.
He is, Paul Molitor, universally respected amongst his peers in the baseball world, and he's like that because he can make big plays in the big games, as he did numerous times for the Blue Jays during this series. You go back to game #4, and it was a 6th-run, 8th inning for the Blue Jays, highlighted by this Molitor drive.
Olerud to third, Molitor to second. And the Blue Jays are in double figures. It's 14-10.
They needed that, and he came through again.
And also to have him go in and play third base in the next couple of games. He played game number 3 at first, went over to play third for games 4 and 5. The added pressure of a very popular player in the Jays, Ed Sprague, being taken out of the lineup to make room for Molitor, and he didn't look bad in there.
He hadn't played third base in, I guess, about 3 or 4 years, but he came up as a shortstop. They moved him to second base when Robin Yount came. He played a little outfield. He played first, he third. This guy's a great athlete. He's an outstanding athlete. He can play all these different positions, and I know how hard that is, but then adding it and doing it in the World Series where that pressure is a lot, you're under the microscope, and to come through the way he did, he's outstanding.
He is right in the middle of the celebration in the Toronto Blue Jays clubhouse, and well, he should be. Paul Molitor, World Series MVP, the Blue Jays World Series champions, and speaking of right in the middle of the celebrations, Gord Miller is in downtown Toronto, where the party continues. About 200,000 people on the street. Gord, where are you?
Well, I'm safely up and away from them, and I've got 2 of these couple of 100,000 fans with me, Marty and Krista, who watched the game at their aunt's place and have been up and down Yonge Street. What's it like out there?
Awesome! I can't believe it's amazing.
Now, you see all these people together. There's no problems downtown at all, huh?
Just a few accidents.
Tell me something. What brings people downtown to something like this?
I don't know. It's the Blue Jays!
There's a lot of young people running around. It seems like a great spirit out there.
I don't know what to say except they're wicked!
Interesting enough, there's some guys behind us from Newfoundland. We got Marty and Krista here from Seneca College here in Toronto. And I gotta tell you, Paul, that for all the people downtown, it's an amazingly peaceful celebration and one that other cities that win championships should be envious of. Back to you.
Yeah, but tell me the truth. You did not park your car down there tonight, did you? No matter how well behaved everybody is. The Blue Jays 8-6 winners and World Series champions. We still have a reaction to come from coast to coast. Reaction from Vancouver, where they were celebrating in the roadhouses and the bars, and reaction as well from Halifax, the other side of the country. We'll also hear from Robbie Alomar, who made great plays like this to make the World Series memorable indeed.
All right, thank you. Last year, I don't expect you to remember this, but after you guys won the World Series, I had the pleasure of talking to you, and one thing you said to me, you can't imagine anything ever topping what that experience was. Are you going to take those words back now?
What a difference a year makes. Last year, the first time was definitely the sweetest, but to go out and win it on offense, the bottom of the ninth, with a 3-run homer, it's only the second time in World Series history. This is going to be tough to beat. You can't think of a better situation. I was very happy, not only for myself, but mainly for my teammates to be able to come through, because they put a lot of, we cheer for one another, we believe in one another, and they were pulling for me. And, I went back in and watched the replay. The first thing I wanted to see was how the teammates reacted. And, man, that was a joy for them to watch. Mr. Sprague.
Joe, it's hard to imagine, but how many times did you imagine it, either in Little League or in the backyard or whatever, any park growing up?
You could write any number you want and put 3 dots beside it. That's how many times I imagined it. Every kid, every dream as a kid that you have, it's always the bottom of the ninth. It's the last game of the World Series, and you hit the game-winning home run to win the ball game to help your team win the World Series. I guarantee you, every baseball player who's ever played the game has dreamt that and done it numerous times. Not everybody gets a chance to do it, but I can look back and say, for one moment, I did that.
Is that moment frozen in time as you rounded first base or as you saw the ball leave the park?
I tell you what, when I hit the ball, I didn't know if it was going to get out. I lost it because it went through the lights. And then I saw it was going to get out, and it was like, I don't believe this. I can't believe it. Last year it was me jumping up and down at first base, and everybody said they'll always have that memory of me jumping up and down. I think I topped it a little bit more. They'll still have a memory of me jumping them down, but this time it will be because of a game-winning home run. And when the ball cleared the fence, it was like a little kid at Christmas time in a toy store, and that's the way I feel right now.
I know that you've been denied the pleasure of enjoying all this from talking to us in the media. One final question, just about the rebuilding job, because I know your good friend Dave Winfield was gone, and Molitor came in, and Dave Stewart came in, and there were so many changes. Were you thinking at the time that you could get back and win the World Series?
Yeah, I definitely felt we could. Last year's team was a great ball club all the way around. We didn't have as much offensively as we did this year, but I think the complete package, if you rated us last year between a 1 and 10, we were a 10, and that's a great ball club. This year, I said if between a 1 and 10, we were probably a 9, and that's still a great ball club. We were a little bit less powerful as far as the pitching staff was concerned from this year, but we still had a great offensive ball club, and we knew that maybe it could carry over and take up the slack where we liked the depth in the pitching staff. But once September came around, the guys got focused. All these veteran guys, Dave Stewart, Paul Molitor, Robbie, Devon. I mean, these guys turned it on, and they knew what was ahead in store for them. They came out. We still, we don't have the Winfields and the Keys and the Wells and the Hinkies, but I guarantee you they were definitely a big part of this because I know that they were there in front of the TV camera cheering for us.
How much sleep do you think you'll get tonight?
None. Zero.
Congratulations once again. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
No, but
just like you. Ricky, everybody was waiting for Ricky to show up. You waited until the 9th inning. You got on base. That's what you do so well. You set the tone. Tell us the feeling now as you're enjoying another World Championship.
Oh, it's just a great feeling, At the 9th inning, we was down, and top of the lineup come up, and my job really is just to work, do anything I can do for us to go out there and get on base. And I was just going up there. You're gonna make good contact. If he was wild, I was gonna be patient enough to get on base. And so happened he threw me 4 balls, and that was a turning point right there.
You've played for some good managers, Tony La Russa, Billy Martin, now Cito Gaston. Describe his part of all of this.
I think Cito is a work of art. He has an outstanding ball player on the club, and he treated everybody the same. His door is always open if you need anything, and Cito stuck behind me. Things wasn't going right with me. I had a little nagging injury, but Cito knew I wanted to be out in the ball game, and he stuck behind me.
You've played with great players before, but what about Paul Molitor getting that clutch hit right there?
Oh, man, that's a great clutch hit. Paul Molitor has had thrilled me the whole season since I've been here. I played against Paul and didn't never idolize him as much, but since I've been behind him and looking at him hit and play, he's just an outstanding hitter.
Ricky, enjoy the championship.
Thank you now. All right, bud.
Return to glory. The Blue Jays' second World Series championship celebration is brought to you by Nissan, built for the human race. And by Labatt Blue, honest and true, you bet it's blue.
Fans got any sleep yet? The city of Toronto still suffering from a love hangover, partying into the wee hours after the beloved Blue Jays won the World Series. Today, thousands of fans honored the World Series champs on the streets and at a rally at the Sky Dome. The biggest cheer for none other than the MVP of the whole series, Paul Molitor, and deservedly so.
There is a lot of very memorable moments in my first season as a Blue Jay, but the one I'm going to remember most is when I was standing right about 15 feet out in front here. I was looking out that way, and I saw a ball clear the left field fence. I want to thank my teammates, and I want to tell you finally that representing this organization, this city, this province, this country, has made me very proud. Thank you very much.